When you look at any great photograph, there is always more to see than what meets the eye. On September 4th, 1957, a stoic young black girl, Elizabeth Eckford, a member of the Little Rock Nine, was met by an angry mob during her first days to desegregate Little Rock Central High School. One of the many yelling behind her was an angry young white girl with narrow eyes and clenched teeth, Elizabeth Bryan. Recounts captured this moment in one of the most recognizable photos of the Civil Rights era. It depicted the hate and fury of one young girl and the timid demeanor of another. This image circulated around our state, the nation, and all around the world. Do you remember how seeing this photo for the first time made you feel? Who knew that the photo of these two young girls, one black, one white, both 15 years old, born less than 4 months apart, living within miles of one another, and both beginning the 11th grade, would be so powerful in symbolizing the race relations in America? Even more powerful was the poster David Margolick saw of the two women. This time, the women were smiling and embracing one another. Two women, one black, one white. But this time, they were no longer entering the 11th grade. They were grown, and this was a poster of reconciliation. David came across the poster during a trip to Little Rock for the past, David came across the poster during a trip to Little Rock, and for the past 12 years, with other jobs under his belt, he has investigated what lies within that historic image for his new book, Elizabeth and Hazel, Two Women of Little Rock. Through countless interviews, he's created a dual biography so that we are able to gain an understanding of the emotions behind the two women bound together by one single photograph. David Margolick was a longtime contributing editor for Vanity Fair. He joined their team in 1995. Prior to that, he held similar positions at Newsweek and Portfolio. Before Vanity Fair, he worked from 1988 to 1995 as a legal affairs reporter for the New York Post. He contributed to a column at the bar covering trials of O.J. Simpson, Lorena Bobbitt, and William Kennedy Smith, just to name a few. A graduate of the University of Michigan and Stanford Law School, David has written pieces including a long-form article entitled A Predator Priest, about bringing a pedophile priest to justice in his hometown of Putney, Connecticut. He is also the author of several books, including Beyond Glory and Strange Fruit. David says of his new book, it's an honest acknowledgement of racial sensitivities that exist in this country, and how when it comes to race relations in America, it can be very complex and an ongoing process. The relationship between Elizabeth and Hazel is like a metaphor for America's racial history, a reflection of how much more this country, blacks and whites, have to do. Everyone, introducing David Margolick.
Well, thank you, Yana Janelle. I just want to make one correction in your very nice introduction, which is that I was a reporter for many years for the New York Times, not the New York Post. That may not mean so much to people down here, but in New York, there's a big distinction between the two. I also want to say that Skip mentioned that about Elizabeth's birthday, and you might think that it's just a great coincidence that we're having that the pub date of my book just happens to overlap with Elizabeth's birthday, but that's really not the case. We deliberately wanted to commemorate Elizabeth's birthday by publishing on it as a fitting tribute to her, and we just thought it would be good karma, actually. We couldn't go wrong coming out on what for her is an important birthday, and so that explains the non-coincidence. I want to thank Skip for, I've already been here once before, as some of you recidivists in the audience know. I recognize some of you already. And I want to thank Skip for having me back when my work is further along, considerably further along than it was the last time. It's always nice to have a second bite at the apple. And I just looking out, I see a lot of familiar faces here, including a lot of the people that I interviewed, and that's also very gratifying. It's always gratifying to see a pile of books over there and some extra chairs that they are unfolding at the last minute, which is an author always likes to see. Nikolai sent me a list of the people who had signed up for this afternoon's program, and on my BlackBerry, I could only get the first half of them, but I looked down the list and I saw Max Brantley, Wiley Branton, Ralph Brody, Bay Fitzhugh, Betsy Jakeway, and Johanna Lewis. That's only up through the L's, and these are all people who helped me and talked to me and to whom I'm grateful. And I'm sure there are a lot more of you. I see Griff Stockley. I mean, there are a lot more of you out here, and so it's a chance for me to thank all of you as well. One of the questions that I'm often asked in interviews about this book is when I first saw the famous picture of Elizabeth and Hazel. And my answer is always the same. I have no idea when I first saw it. Who can say when you first saw a picture like this? This is the kind of picture that just seeps into your consciousness. It doesn't happen at any particular time. It's, for any sensitive person, it's the kind of picture that you grow up with. You notice it at a very early age, and it's just engraved in your mind. You never forget it once you see it. It's just one of those pictures. It's like the picture of the little boy with the cap with his hands up in the Warsaw Ghetto. It's one of those pictures that you see once and it sticks with you. It captures, it's a picture that, I mean, there are many famous pictures of the civil rights movement, and we all know the images of the fire hoses and the German shepherds and the heartbreaking images of people sitting in at lunch counters having ketchup and coffee poured on their heads, or freedom riders being beaten. But this picture is different. There's something different about this picture, and what is it? What is it about this picture that stands out in our minds? I think there are a lot of things about it, but it's particularly the face. It's the face of Hazel that sets it apart. I say in the book that the picture is of Elizabeth and Hazel, but the picture is really more of Hazel than it is of Elizabeth. If you look carefully at the picture, Will Counts' picture, Elizabeth is already sort of walking out of the frame. Elizabeth is even out of focus a little bit. It's Hazel to whom your eyes are drawn immediately, and the way that it fell together, it's all just perfect staging in a way. The lighting is perfect. The lighting is coming in from the side. It's early in the morning. It's bright. It sets her face apart. She's in perfect focus. She's sort of set apart from everybody else in the picture. She just stands out. And then there's the expression on the face. And what is it? What is that expression? It captures. I mean, what picture better captures what the attitude of the South towards what was going on, the attitude of the South towards desegregation in 1957, the absolute rage, the indignation that Southerners felt, the utter contempt for black people that's captured in that picture. To use sort of a more modern notion, there's also a notion that's generally applied now to modern warfare. There's the asymmetry of the picture. The fact that the forces, the powers in the picture are so disproportionate. There's only one black face in the picture, just Elizabeth. And she's surrounded by all of these white faces. And all of the power and the force and the influence and everything is all gathered in the white community. Elizabeth is very much alone. So